Alright guys, today's video is honestly quite simple. We are basically going to answer the question, is Nvidia cheap or not? Basically, is it undervalued or not? That's it. That's what we're going to dive into today, right after you gently tap that like button and consider subscribing too. It's super easy to do if you like the truth without the hype. Alright guys, I totally get it. Nvidia's right there around those all-time highs. How the heck can it be undervalued? What the heck are you talking about, Luke? Are you out of your mind? Don't worry, there's a few things to look at, but take a look right here at this return from one of my group members, and I get DMs like this all the time from group members who have these type of returns. Actually, we got a few folks that had up over 170% so far just this year. No crazy option plays, no getting in and out of stocks, no crazy trading games or anything else like that. Just great fundamental analysis and then buy and hold investing. That's what we do right there in our group, and the sale ends this weekend and the price is going to go up forever if you don't take advantage. So if you want to learn how to do that and learn directly from me and our group of 6 and 7 figure investors who are having returns like this in their portfolios, and you want to take 5 courses for free, see all my buy and sell alerts in real time, see my watch list complete with price targets. I put out 3, 4, 5 videos a week just specifically for the group. They don't get released here on YouTube or anywhere else. You get free access to the stock analyzer tool to help you do analysis on stocks like Nvidia, for example, and a ton more. Just check out the pinned comment down there and see if a membership's right for you, and make sure you take advantage of the sale if you've been thinking about it, because when that price goes up, guys, it's going to go up forever. All right, so somebody on Wall Street made a very bold call that Nvidia is essentially significantly undervalued in their opinion. So let's take a look at exactly what they have to say, and we'll go through it. Not going to give you my thoughts on it as well, and I'll give you my take at the end in regards to, is Nvidia undervalued or not, and kind of where I see the stock going short term and long term as well, because that to me is two totally different pictures. So if you own Nvidia, you want to own Nvidia, I think you got to kind of weigh both of those cases because they are very different.
Let's bring in one of Wall Street's biggest Nvidia bulls. Ben Reitzes is the head of technology research at Analyst Research. His new note is titled, "Dare We Say Nvidia is Now Cheap?" Yeah, Ben, welcome. Dare we say? Nice to phrase it that way, because a lot of people would argue with that, but yet you argue that it is when you take a look at the multiple based on calendar year 24 earnings, and when you compare it on an EV to EBITDA basis or EV to sales basis even, to a Microsoft, to an Apple, and et cetera.
Yeah, well, when you adjust for growth, there's outsized growth here. We're looking for 40+% growth in sales and EPS, and that's probably really conservative. So right now it's trading at about 29 times next year's number. It could be a bargain. And their TAM is growing really fast too.
I don't know if I would call a 29 a bargain. However, given their performance the past couple of quarters, I can't say that's expensive either or anything crazy like that. Now, again, we'll get into some other problems that I see with that as well a little bit later on in the video. But in regards to that, I don't know if I'd call it bargain, but it's absolutely not crazy expensive either.
Really conservative.
So why is their total addressable market growing so quickly? It's just the sell-through of the AI chip specifically makes the total addressable market much bigger?
Well, I don't know. It depends how you want to look at it. The cloud giants are spending like crazy in this market. And Google just had an event this week, and they announced an expanded partnership with Nvidia. And it looks like they're going to be spending a ton on the H100 super chips, which have a huge margin and huge ASP. And Nvidia is the Intel inside for AI, to borrow a pun from many years ago. And you need Nvidia to serve customers, to serve AI, and the clouds are rushing to do it. And then it's giving rise to a whole new GPU as a service, CoreWeaves, Lambda Labs, all these second-tier GPU as a service firms as well. So there's a lot of spending, and we are yet to see whether the apps all come and the enterprise adoption comes, but the spending cycle is going to last well into next year, probably through next year.
Yeah, I can't argue with that either. Look, guys, right now there isn't a place to go. I think Elon just talked about he's going to continue to buy Nvidia chips for the foreseeable future, allocating basically billions of dollars to it. So, right now in this, if you want to call it AI race, whatever the case is, basically going to that next level for a lot of large tech companies who, oh, by the way, they all have a ton of cash on the balance sheet and care much more about, being first to market or being ahead of the market, or at least being on par with the market, than they do actually burning through some of that cash. I don't think this is going to, I think the case for, is this going to continue for the rest of the year? I'm not sure there's a lot of other options for a lot of those companies in regards to that. Now, that obviously is separate from the stock price, but I understand exactly what he's saying there, and I can't argue that point. So I got to agree again with the guy, and I know you guys know I hate agreeing with Wall Street guys, but in this case, He's doing a good job so far.
Others will say that there could be over ordering, that there's a lot of pull forward of this. And you actually make the point that they're trying to build a more durable stream of revenues, that they are looking to create this sort of ecosystem. Can you explain that? Because I feel like that is, the notion that it's a one-off, it'll sell its chip and it's done, is the pillar of the bear case at this point.
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked this question. Every once in a while, a special company comes along that's a platform. This is one of them. So there was Apple, there was Microsoft, but every once in a while, one of these comes along. It's very rare. And Nvidia is probably the only company in semis that has the power to do this, to really be an end-to-end full-stack platform. What happens when you're successful doing that is you will generate an outsized proportion of the profits for that industry, and it's more durable than people think. Just look at Apple. A lot of people thought Apple would be cyclical. The multiple got really low, and obviously now it has almost a 30 PE. This company is probably one of those special companies. They're getting into software, cloud services, and they're generating a ton of cash now, so they're going to buy back stock, potentially like Apple can.
So we kind of didn't really hit on the point harder, but I think where he was going with this, they're trying to do what Apple does and create this ecosystem. I understand Apple's direct to customers versus, this is more B2B. Understand that completely. But creating that ecosystem, and that right there is the first time he has, to me, that's far more speculative than, hey, the demand's going to be strong through the end of the year, through next year, because there isn't any other place to go to get these chips. So those are two different arguments there. So that is part of the bull case, that if they're trying to do that, if they're able to successfully do that, I would agree with them that it's going to, push them into that upper tier to where, hey, there's just a consistent stream of revenue. We can count on them like we can count on Apple, and it basically not being what the lady said right there at the beginning, essentially a boom in the chip cycle. And then once that boom, once that cycle's kind of done, it's kind of back to normal for Nvidia. So if they're able to execute to that, I agree completely. If they're not able to execute to that, it absolutely is more than likely, not guaranteed, but more than likely going to fall more into that super cycle kind of situation, to where you have the big super cycle and then it goes back down to normal business as usual, which of course means the stock price usually goes up, and then it comes back down and you're no longer able to kind of move to that next tier like a Microsoft has or like an Apple has. And again, that's rarefied air. So it doesn't mean Nvidia is a bad company or anything like that. I mean, just a handful of companies in the history of the world have been able to do it. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but that's absolutely more on the speculative end. So that's kind of the first time I've kind of been a little bit more like, okay, I don't necessarily sure I agree with that, because there's a long way to go, and they're at the beginning of that ecosystem curve, whereas opposed to Apple took, years, in some cases decades, depending upon how you want to view it, to actually build that out to where now it is the beast that it is today. And I think Nvidia's, although they're ahead of the curve in regards to the chips, in regards to creating an ecosystem, I think they're a little bit not behind the curve, but they're at the beginning of that curve. And so it's going to take time.
Do you not do that?
Not yet. No, they don't have the software moat. 15 to 20 years ago, NVIDIA made decisions around software that no one can touch. These were decisions made, decades ago. You can't just get into the market with a ported code. And this is, there's emulation. There's certain things that happen that developers take very seriously. And they're trained and they're used to NVIDIA, and they want to use it in the clouds and they want to use it for AI apps. You can't really just go in and take a big share. What likely does happen is the 80-20 rule, 90-10 rule, where there could be a second player, but I don't see their share, going below a dominant level. And I see them leading this market and enabling it, frankly.
All right. I'm not a computer expert on those type things, so I'll let you guys chime in down in the comments down there and let me know, is what he just said actually true or not, that you can't just port in a new service, that's something they've been working on for, decades or whatever the case was. Let me know, is that possible now? I mean, I understand that probably wasn't possible 10 years ago, but a lot of things have changed. So maybe it is possible now. And a lot of things we thought would take companies, decades to build up, kids are doing it in their basement now. So again, not an expert here. So you guys comment down below and let me know. So that way we can kind of hear from experts out there in the field what that is and what the actual truth is with that.
What kind of reception did you get to this call today?
Well, some people, I mean, look, you definitely got a lot of eyeballs on it.
On the ride home, or are you good?
I don't need security on the ride home. I mean, look, it wasn't that hard of a note to write because the numbers are the numbers. I just pointed it out. I would say that some folks are like, whoa, there's a digestion period going on right now. And sometimes it's just good to look at the obvious. We had a big run into the call, and a lot of folks were like, well, is there double ordering? Is there this? Is there that? And people got concerned about that kind of stuff. Is supply meeting demand? And then sometimes you just have to take a step back and you have to say, are we being compensated for the growth? And look, management is going to be on the road at a lot of conferences. There's a lot of positive news flow to come. I think they're going to do a great job of explaining their moat, the end demand, and how they are creating a platform. And when you look at the growth, you'll go, yeah, I'll take a stab at that because it is cheaper now. But you know, the fun is the revisions are so robust that you got to keep up with it.
All right, so short term, I tend to agree with him in regards to, yeah, the money is going to flow into Nvidia into the short term. There's absolutely a super cycle going on. I don't think that there's any way that anybody else can take a significant part of that market share moving forward. So to me, in the short term, I could absolutely make the case that it's undervalued and that you are, you know, not necessarily, it's undervalued. You're not being compensated for the amount of growth that they have. However, I think it is absolutely foolish over the long run to project out this growth anywhere beyond the next year. And what I mean by that is a lot of folks are making these assumptions about where Nvidia is going 3 years from now, 5 years from now, based upon the current growth rates or even cutting those growth rates in half. And that to me is foolish. I think this is basically, you know, you're going to get away with it this year and next year, but making projections out beyond that is really, really tough to do. So unless there is something else that happens, to me, this turns into a situation to where, you know, my look at it is, it's not going to remain undervalued for very much longer. And more importantly, how much more run do we get out of that short-term influx of everything that's happening before, you know, that long-term, hey, now you're not seeing those same growth numbers anymore on earnings, you know, as that multiple continues to trickle down now, because obviously as it gets hyped up and as it continues to move, it's going to continue to move up. You know, if revenue starts to slide in terms of percent year over year, and obviously, you know, if you start seeing just a downtrend in general in regards to that growth rate, you're going to start see those multiples get cranked back down. So the question becomes, are they able to institute that ecosystem in time to get enough people in so that way, as we kind of come out of that cycle and as more competitors come in and a few things like that, and I understand they have probably at least a year, maybe more in regards to that, in regards to having that advantage, are they able to get other things or create a new product altogether, an even better chip that, you know, pushes them well ahead of the competition again? That's kind of the game that you're playing right now with Nvidia stock in regards to valuation. So although I agree, in the short term, I can make a strong case for, hey, it is still kind of undervalued. You know, long term, I can't say I necessarily see that because the risk there is that they're not able to create something and create that ecosystem or create the newest chip or whatever the case is, whatever the heck they have in the future. If they're not able to do that and sustain those growth rates, at that stage, you are going to see that multiple start to come back down for Nvidia. And that right there is kind of the risk that I see. Now, what happens in that? Nobody knows, guys. Everybody out there is guessing, and it's all strictly a guess. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But absolutely, that's kind of my thoughts on it, both in the short term and the long term. And you guys as investors, I have no personal interest in the stock myself. I don't. But that's just kind of something I see as an outsider, as somebody who's done this for a long time. That's what we do right there in our group. And the sale ends this weekend, and the price is going to go up forever if you don't take advantage. So if you want to learn how to do that and learn directly from me and our group of 6 and 7 figure investors who are having returns like this in their portfolios, and you want to take 5 courses for free, see all my buy and sell alerts in real time, see my watch list complete with price targets. I put out 3, 4, 5 videos a week just specifically for the group. They don't get released here on YouTube or anywhere else. You get free access to the stock analyzer tool to help you do analysis on stocks like Nvidia, for example, and a ton more. Just check out the pinned comment down there and see if a membership's right for you, and make sure you take advantage of the sale if you've been thinking about it, because when that price goes up, guys, it's going to go up forever. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market, and click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.